Hello and welcome to the Dodge Charger EV. Who would have thought a Dodge Charger would need a charger, am I right?
This guy stinks!
This is arguably the most controversial release, I would say, in the past year and a half or so. According to Dodge and Stellantis, they were kind of forced into making an EV rather than another V8, but rumor has it that the V8 might make a return. And this car has had a very mixed reception. It's extremely low-hanging fruit for me to be really mean to it and do all these things and make jokes about it. After spending quite a bit of time with it, I'm going to tell you all the goods, all the bads. I'm going to be as fair as possible. But I kind of want to start with this. I think out of all things, the Dodge Charger EV is a victim of bad timing. And what I mean by that is its own development timeline, I think might have been more strategic if they had done it in reverse. What do I mean by that? Well, the last Charger Challenger platform was pretty old. It had been around a very long time. So we were all kind of waiting for a new one to see what they do. I think that in a perfect world, even without the V8, that they would have released the new Dodge Charger with the gasoline engine first. If you don't know, the gasoline engine version of this car, yes, it's going to be a gas car and an EV, is going to have the 6-cylinder Hurricane turbo engine, which is actually a pretty great engine. Makes great power, very tunable, very cool. But what I mean by this is if you started with the gasoline engine and then moved on to the EV, it almost would have been like a treat or a surprise. Like, hey, if you don't want a gasoline engine and you still want the looks, we also make this in an EV platform. I think just that perspective would have been a lot easier for people to understand and a lot easier for people to go, oh, that's kind of neat. I wouldn't mind daily driving an EV that looks like this. I think the car looks great. The very front of the car is menacing, it's big, it's muscle. I love the R-wing design, very much kind of like a buttress in the front of the hood. When I think of R-wing, I think of Star Fox because I'm a nerd, so that's a little cool. But the front of the car, absolutely love it. I think the rear with the taillights on looks really great too. Whoa. Okay, so there's a fire truck like way ahead of me right now, and it just told me there was an emergency vehicle ahead of my screen. It's literally right in front of me. That's pretty amazing. The car is absolutely massive. I mean, it's physically ominous how big this thing is. I go into the store, and when I come back out to find this thing, I almost chuckle from just how big it is. This is the beefiest EV version of all. It's the Scatpack Daytona. Makes 670 horsepower, and it's got pep to its step. It's quick. The next good thing I want to talk about is the interior. At first, I almost was hard on it because I wasn't sure if this carbon was real because I gave it a little knock right here. No, it's just the type of weave they use, the type of clear they used. It is real. At first, I didn't know. I double checked. But when it comes to the fluidity and the design language of the interior, I think it's awesome. I think the interior designer probably had a heyday with this thing going, I'm going to make a futuristic feeling Dodge Charger. And I think they nailed it. I think it looks great. I love how organic the doors feel. The ambient lighting is really neat and very user-friendly. It's called the attitude adjustment. A little wild, but all right, I'm here for it. And going back to the looks and the presence of it, people have literally followed me around trying to ask me questions about it. I like the old school feeling shifter in the center console. We don't have a weird dial or anything, or any of the shifters that kind of have the twisty knob up here. I like the screens are actually very user-friendly. I will say the screen interfaces are slightly delayed, but that is me splitting hairs here with the interface. But the amount of data you can get out of this thing is pretty wild. You can record all your 0 to 60s, your quarter miles, all that kind of stuff. It's like having your own personal draggy in the car, which is neat. So I'm taking a quick stop to just briefly talk about the artificial sound of the car. I think it's a mix between like a UFO traditional EV sound and an old Scatpack or Hellcat. And now with EVs making convincing noises or attempting to convince you and trick your brain, it kind of takes me out of it in the Charger EV with the single speed.
This is how my sim sounds.
This is like the first version of Need for Speed audio.
That's what it is.
It's like Need for Speed original. Just this is what we think a car is supposed to sound like.
It's a video game noise.
Sure, when you floor it, it makes a sound, but it kind of stays the same. There's no kind of finality to it. It just kind of hovers. This is also the very first car review I have ever put an exhaust cam on a speaker. So now when I'm cruising around, it's just that. There's no conclusion to the sound like you have in, say, the Ioniq 5N. But the Ioniq 5N had the artificial sound. It fooled your brain extraordinarily well, to the point that I fooled some of my friends at first and told them it wasn't even an EV. And this, you're not falling for it, at least in my opinion.
No. Why does it get louder? Yeah, I play Forza too.
Oh no! Because it feels like the sound can't decide if it wants to be like the UFO spaciness of an EV or a Scatpack. It's kind of a mix of both. The low RPM feels more V8, the higher RPM feels more UFO. So another thing that really puzzles people is the cold start. People literally make a face every time I fire up this car because they don't really know what's happening. You know how in movies when they do like the digitized face or they make somebody look young and it has that uncanny valley? That's what this car seems to give people. It's not slow, right? But it doesn't really give you that EV sensation that I've gotten out of some other competitors, I would say. Tesla Model 3 Performance, Tesla Plaid, Hyundai Ioniq 5N, which in a lot of ways I would consider this to be a rival to the Ioniq 5N due to its artificial sound technique to make it feel like you're driving a combustion car, but it also has that UFO style sound kind of mixed in. Another thing that my friend said was he would have loved to have a volume knob for how loud you want the car rather than each setting, because each setting is kind of jarring. It doesn't really crossfade, so if I go into each setting, it's very like immediate and kind of jarring. See, I'm craving that ba ba ba, you know, that's what I'm craving right now. It just kind of feels like it goes on forever. Turning radius, amazing, believe it or not, for this big freaking car. All right, so now for the biggest, I would say, criticism of the car of all. It's the price. I think there's a lot of amazing options out there, but for the price, that's what hurts this car. This model starts at $74,000. And then this one spec'd out that I'm driving right now is $85,000. As somebody who tries to be as fair as possible as a car reviewer, it's too much money. It's just too much money. This car, they would have nailed it in a different price range. I'm no engineer, right? But with those changes that I was talking about earlier, like the shifting, maybe changing the sound I kind of want it to commit to one or the other, UFO or gas. But if this car in a perfect world was priced in the 40s or the 50s, I honestly think they would have sold. I personally think a lot of people would have given it a whirl. Here's the problem. We're talking used Tesla Plaid money. It's more expensive than the Ioniq 5N. See, that was cool. That was cool. All 4 tires were spinning. Woo! Yeah, like, that was fast. You know, I asked one of my friends yesterday what would help this car. In his opinion, he said, make it 1,000 horsepower. Make it just like the Tesla Plaid. Make it just like all those things to justify the price and to justify the EV. And I said, oof, that's a tall order. That's a tall order, right? So let's also, with a clear mind, talk about the branding. So the car is kind of a mix between the Challenger and the Charger. They combined them. And personally, I think it looks more like the modern Challenger than the Charger, but this is a look back at the 60s Charger. That's what they were going for. I personally think Dodge would have had a better chance selling a performance EV under a different name and a different strategy. A muscle car customer probably isn't looking for an EV, and an EV customer probably isn't looking for a muscle car. And I mean that not in a mean way, I mean that in a consumer way. I also think the seats are wonderful. I think they look great. I think they're insanely comfortable. I never have like my back hurting or anything. There are a lot of good things about this car. I love the big panoramic roof that's an option. It's really neat. It's like a lot of cars today where it's not so much the car, it's the competition, and the competition has more value. So that's where I really struggle with it. All right, so about 50% battery range left. That was 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. Not bad. So this is what it's like to drive around in a louder mode. Also, these paddles behind the steering wheel actually seem, as far as I can tell, to control how much regen you use, like how much regen braking you use. I might be wrong, but that's exactly what it seems like. I'm not touching the gas or the brake right there. Oh yeah, also, it's a hatchback, and I actually really like that about this car. I think what's been really interesting is seeing people's reaction to this car, because when they first see it, they really like it. They really like it. Almost nobody has said, man, that thing's really ugly. Most people like the way this car looks. It's when you turn it on and you use the speaker system and the exhaust system, it takes people out of it. And they immediately step back and go, wait, how much is that thing? Guys, what do you think about this car so far, honestly? As car guys, your whole life.
The sound kind of throws me off a little bit.
Sound's not good.
Sound throws
The
me
hatch
off.
is cool.
Hatch is
the
cool.
hood.
Hatch is super cool.
The hatch
Hood's
is
kind
cool.
of, for being a hatch, I would expect it to have more trunk space. I feel like my Vet has more trunk space than this.
What about the looks of it?
I like the front.
I like
It's
the
just
looks.
big.
The back's a little weird, but
The back doesn't seem to match the front,
It's as
but I
big
do
as
like
a Rolls Royce. Like it's massive.
the one thing I do like about this is the interior.
Yeah,
Because
it's well done.
the Dodge now has what to me feels like a truck dash.
Right, right.
And it's flat, and this, like, how the dash wraps around into the door cards.
I really like
kind of
this
gives me
right
that
here.
like Mark IV Supra feel, where it kind of
Okay.
like wraps around, you know.
All right, I finally found a charger for the Charger. All right, green light. Charging cannot be started. This is like the 5th time this has happened. It says it has a connection of it, and it does it at every single charger. Well, this is a good sign, as I just drove to another charger. All right, another one not working. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. For 2 days, I have been trying to charge this car, and every single time the chargers are taken, or they don't work, or something along those lines. Well, I woke up early this morning to plan literally my day around it, because I know I have to sit here for a while. Due to me not being able to charge for a while, I knew that the charging was going to take longer since I couldn't find one. I tried 6 different chargers this morning, and none of them worked. Okay, so then I came back to another set of chargers that didn't work for me yesterday to see if I had better luck. I tried tap to pay, insert to pay, Apple Wallet, and through their app. None of it worked. And I followed the directions exactly. I plugged in the vehicle and I got indication that it was plugged in. Finally, what I did was I went on a Reddit post and somebody had this problem. The charger tells you to plug in first, then you pay for it, then it starts charging, okay? What I had to do to get it to work was open the app, find the charger on the app, on the map around here. Then I had to say initiate charging, which then it said, no, you can't charge yet. You have to plug in first. I said, whatever. And then I plugged it in, then presented payment. Then it finally worked. Thank God I finally got it to work. This is where EVs have their biggest fault. And it could be any of them. I'm not just talking about the charger. It is so impeccably inconvenient sometimes to just get to where you need to go to start your day or end your day. A lot of the times with EVs, I'll wake up really early in the morning and then that way they're not occupied and then sit here for like an hour or whatever. Or at the end of the day, late at night, that's when I do it. Dodge Charger EV, a victim of timing. That's what I'll say about it. I don't think the car is terrible. I just think it's trying to punch above its weight a little bit. I think if the car was priced cheaper, marketed a little bit different, and came out last in the Charger lineup, I think it would have had a much better chance. But hindsight's 20/20, right? We can't predict the future, but that's just my opinion. I would adore to drive this with some kind of paddle shifter setup like the Ioniq 5N. I think it's just a little behind in the EV market, and this thing would have been an absolute knockout with a V8 in it, I believe. That's just my opinion. But like I said, I don't know all the inside baseball of what goes on at the company, so who knows what regulations they were forced to do, etc., etc. I've had a good time driving it around, but the price is just too eye-watering for me. It all comes down to the price. Every time I think something's cool, I go, but it's $74,000 or $85,000. And then I think of this and I go, oh, but it's $74,000. It's this vicious circle over and over again. But at the end of the day, what do you guys think about the Dodge Charger EV? Do you like it? Do you think people are too hard on it? Put it down in the comment section below.